Guys, welcome back to our channel Mo and Ash Vibes. In our today's video we are going to learn about IELTS writing task 2, in which you have to write an essay. I'm going to tell you that how you should attempt this question type, how to write an effective essay. I'm also going to show you a sample essay so that it's more easier for you to understand that how you can write your essay in an organized way. So let's get started. Now, when you are attempting this question type, a lot of times people lose a lot of marks because they do not understand their task properly. Now, when they don't understand their task properly, they are unable to structure their essay properly, and so they end up losing a lot of marks. So in order to understand your task and in order to structure your essay properly, you have to make sure that you read the question properly. If you're going to read your question properly, you would know that what exactly are they asking you to do, and you would know that how many parts are there in the question. And then you have to make sure that you answer each and every part properly and clearly. For example, you can get an essay question in which you have been asked to write two different viewpoints and at the same time present your own opinion as well in the end. So in this question type, there are three parts because you are giving two different viewpoints and then you are presenting your opinion, which is going to be the third part. So you have to make sure that you are answering all the parts very clearly. So that would be that you have to tell the first viewpoint very clearly, you have to give the second viewpoint very clearly, and then you have to, of course, give your own opinion very clearly. So if you would not know that how many parts have been asked in the question, then you might miss one viewpoint or you might miss your own opinion. So in this case, you are not answering all the parts. So it's really important that you answer all the parts that have been asked in the question. On the other hand, you can also get a question type in which a statement has been given to you and then they will ask you to what extent do you agree or disagree. Now in this particular question type, there is only one part because you have been presented with a statement. You just have to tell whether you agree with that statement or whether you disagree with that statement. So you just have to make sure that you are answering that part of the question. So it's really important that you understand that how many parts a question has so that you can answer accordingly. Similarly, you can be asked this essay question type in different ways. You just have to make sure that you are reading the question properly, understanding what the question is saying, understanding your task properly, figure out how many parts are there in the question, whether you have to tell two views, whether you have to say two different views, or whether you just have to state your opinion, or you just have to tell whether you agree or disagree. I mean, figure out basically how many parts are there and then make sure that you are answering each of those parts. Another reason why people lose a lot of marks in this question type is because they do not structure their essay properly. Their essay is not organized. So in order to structure your essay properly, you have to make sure that you are dividing your essay into different paragraphs so that you can explain your viewpoints, your opinion very clearly in those different paragraphs. For example, in our today's video, we are going to cover the question type in which a statement will be given to you and then you have to tell to what extent do you agree or disagree. So in this question type particularly, ideally you should have about 4 to 5 paragraphs. Now, how are you going to arrange those paragraphs? So of course, there should be an introductory paragraph, there should be a conclusion, and in between you can give paragraphs where you are giving the reasons that why you agree with something or why you disagree with something. So if you are giving two reasons, so you can put 2 paragraphs in between. If you're giving more than 2 reasons, you can put 3 paragraphs in between, but ideally you should give 2 to 3 reasons as to why you agree or disagree. So this is how you should arrange your essay into different paragraphs so that your essay looks more organized. We are also going to discuss about the structure of this particular question type more in detail in some time. Also, always remember to leave a line after every paragraph so that your essay looks more neat and clear. Another thing that you have to be very careful about is that you are using wide range of vocabulary. So when you're writing an essay, you have to make sure that you are not just using the common words that you use in day-to-day life. Use some uncommon words so that you can tell them that your vocabulary is good and you know the uncommon words too. So for example, instead of using the word excited, you can use the word ecstatic. Similarly, instead of using the word many, you can use the word numerous. So this will just show the examiner that you have good knowledge about English language and your vocabulary is good as well. But also you have to make sure when you're using these words, you are writing the spellings correct. So spelling is also something really important that you need to take care of. Another important thing to remember is that never give vague answers. Make sure that you present your opinions and viewpoints very clearly. Also, never use short forms. So let's say if you have to write the word example, then in that case, don't just write E.G. You make sure that you write the whole word. So write the word example instead of using these short forms. Similarly, if you have to talk about pros and cons of something, instead of using the word pros and cons, you should use the benefits of something is this or the drawbacks of something is this. So use the formal language. Don't use the casual language. You should also use wide range of sentences while writing an essay. So you should use a simple sentence, a complex sentence. You have to make sure that your grammar is correct. You have to make sure that you are using your question marks, exclamation mark, commas, inverted commas at proper places. So all these things are really important. So these things usually come with practice. So you should practice as much as you can for your IELTS writing. So these are the basic points that you should keep in mind when you are practicing your IELTS writing task 2 or when you are actually attempting your IELTS writing task 2 in the exam. Now let's look at the sample question and see how to attempt this question type keeping all these points in mind. Now you can look at the question on your screen. Tourism is a major factor for the economic growth of a country and therefore international tourists should be attracted at a large scale to boost the economy. To what extent do you agree or disagree? Now, by just reading the question, we know that they have given us a statement and then they are asking us to what extent do you agree with this statement or disagree with this statement. So it's very clear that in this question there is only one part that we have to answer, that whether we agree with this statement or whether we disagree with this statement. The next thing that we have to focus on is that how to arrange your essay into different paragraphs. Now I told you before, in this particular question type you should be writing about 4 to 5 paragraphs in which you will have to write an introductory paragraph and then you should be giving a conclusion and then you should be telling your opinion, stating some examples. So now in this particular question type, first you have to write the introduction. Now when you are writing the introduction, what you have to cover in the introduction is that you have to paraphrase the question that has been asked to you, which means you have to write this question in a different way in your introduction, and then you have to give your opinion stating the reasons in just one line, because this is just the introduction, so you don't have to explain anything in detail. So you can write your first paragraph or the introductory paragraph like this: tourism is undeniably one of the major factors for the economic growth of a country. Every country has reaped the benefits from tourism and recognized its value. I strongly agree that extra measures must be taken to attract tourists from all over the world. To support my opinion, I would like to present 2 reasons. First reason is tourism not only boosts the economic growth of a country, but it also generates more employment. Second reason is attracting tourists from all over the world also gives the country a chance to represent its culture, customs, ancient history to an international audience. So you just saw that in the introduction, you don't have to write too much. You just have to paraphrase the question as we did. And then you told them your opinion, that you strongly agree. And to support your opinion, you gave 2 reasons in just one line. Why we just wrote one line for each reason? Because here you are just giving an introduction, so you don't have to explain the reasoning in detail in the introductory paragraph. That would be your second paragraph. So in the second paragraph, now you have to explain your first reason in detail. So now they know that your opinion is that you strongly agree. Now the first supporting reason that you have given in one line in the introduction, in the second paragraph you have to explain that reason more in detail. Also, always remember that when you are explaining the reason to support your viewpoint in detail, make sure that you are giving some sort of examples, or you are giving some sort of ideas, like an expanded idea, so that you can support your opinion strongly. If you are not going to give any examples, or if you are not going to give some expanded idea in the support, then you won't be able to clearly describe or express your viewpoint. Now in this particular essay, the first reason that we gave to support our opinion was that tourism not only boosts the economic growth of a country, but it also generates more employment. So in the second paragraph, we are going to explain this reason more in detail using some examples and ideas. So you can write it as: tourism is a major economic factor for the economic growth, and large-scale tourism will boost the economy of a country and simultaneously generate ample of employment. Studies have shown that employment rate is directly proportional to the overall growth of a country. And as it's said, the benefits of one sector are not the benefits for that sector alone. Example, higher influx of tourists would mean more demand for the domestic transportations. It would also mean that the service industries such as hotels or motels gets more business. Airlines industry also reap a direct benefit from tourists, as that would be the prime mode of transportation to enter into the country. So you saw how we explained our first supporting reason in detail in the second paragraph by using some examples. Like in this case, our first supporting reason was that tourism is responsible for the economic growth of the country because it creates more employment for people. Employment opportunities are created because of tourism. Now, to support this, we gave some examples. For example, if tourists are going to come, they are of course going to stay in the hotels or the motels. So the hotel industry is making more money, the service industry is making more money, and then they are going to come through airlines. So airline industry is making more money. Then they are going to travel in the local cabs. So the local transportation is going to be high in demand, so those people are making more money. So the overall economy of the country is growing because of tourism. So in order to support our answer, we gave so many examples. So always remember that whenever you give a viewpoint and then you give a supporting reason for your viewpoint, make sure that you are using examples to justify your reason, because if you're going to use examples to justify your reason, that why do you agree with something or disagree with something, then you are going to state your opinion very, very clearly. Now moving on to the third paragraph. In the third paragraph, we should be explaining our second reason more in detail, and here also we should be giving some sort of examples or some sort of ideas in order to support our reasoning. So now our second reason was attracting tourists from all over the world also gives the country a chance to represent its culture, customs, ancient history to an international audience. So now you can write your third paragraph like this: attracting tourists from all over the world also gives the country a chance to represent its culture, customs, ancient history to the international audience. It's because of these factors that international organizations would be interested in holding events in the country. For example, in South Africa, every year, a huge sum of tourists visit to witness the natural wildlife and adventures of the country, which ultimately boosts the economy. Along with it, many international television programs book places in Cape Town to shoot their adventure or wildlife programs, generating revenue as a result. You saw that in the third paragraph as well, we explained the second supporting reason more in detail using some examples. Our second supporting reason was that if we are going to attract more tourists, it will give us the opportunity to tell people more about our country's culture, traditions, and ancient history, which will further attract even more people. And to support that, we gave the reason that if more people are attracted to our country, then they would want to hold international events in our country or international programs in our country, which will of course help in the economic growth of the country. So again, to explain our reason more in detail, we gave the examples. Now in the last paragraph, you just have to conclude your essay. So that would be your conclusion. For conclusion, you just have to summarize your opinion and give key reasons for that. So in this case, you can write, as tourism sector is a great source of generating revenue and boosting economy of a country, the government must implement appropriate policies and put in place effective measures for a smooth functioning of this sector. Therefore, I would agree that tourism industry must flourish and large scale tourists should be attracted to boost the economic growth. So this is how you should attempt this question type. A lot of times people lose marks because they attempt the question, they attempt the essay, but they write everything together and then they do not present their viewpoints very clearly. So it's all mixed up, it's all jumbled. So when the examiner is reading it, they do not exactly understand what you are trying to say. So that's why I said it's really important for you to state your viewpoints very clearly and then divide your essay into different paragraphs and also give examples in order to support your viewpoint, so that they know very clearly that you are sure about what you are talking and you are very clear in your thought process. So this is how you should attempt this question type. Always give an introduction, always give a conclusion, and in between give the reasons to support your viewpoint, whether you agree with it or disagree with it, but always give reasons in between. And usually 2 to 3 reasons are more than enough. You should ideally just give 2 or 3 reasons maximum. And when you're giving reasons, always give examples, always give ideas, so that you can support your reasoning as well. Still, if you have more questions related to this question type, feel free to comment in the section below and I will get back to you as soon as possible. If you find our today's video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Also hit the like button and share the content. Now I will see you in our next video. Until next time, ta-da!